Tonight, Bermuda battered. Hurricane Ernesto blows through the tiny territory, shredding trees and cutting power. CBS News is there.
I'm Dave Malkoff in Paget Parish. This hurricane came much closer than expected. In fact, we took a direct hit.
Oh my God!
The danger to millions on America's East Coast. Also tonight, Donald Trump rallies in Pennsylvania.
80 days from now, we are going to defeat a communist known as Kamala Harris.
Battling with Kamala Harris over the election's biggest issue.
As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class.
Ceasefire hopes.
I'm Raina Inocencio in Tel Aviv. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's return here to Israel could mean negotiators are close to a ceasefire deal.
While Russia accuses Ukraine of using American weapons to destroy this bridge.
I'm Ian Lee in Kyiv, where the top general here says his troops are strengthening their positions on Russian territory.
News tonight of an expected guilty plea from ousted Congressman George Santos. Plus, new rules. The big change today for anyone buying or selling a house.
Annalise Preston in Los Angeles with a look at what those changes mean for those in the market to buy a home.
And later, their fixer-upper project went viral on TikTok.
Another trip to Home Depot, another couple $100 worth of wood.
A father and daughter story of restoration and resilience.
I know he'd be really proud, yeah.
This is the CBS Weekend News from Washington with Adriana Diaz.
Good evening. We begin tonight with Hurricane Ernesto. It plowed past Bermuda today as a Category 1 storm, unleashing a torrent of rain and powerful winds. Tonight, the eye of the storm is hundreds of miles off the U.S. coast, but still bringing danger this weekend to East Coast beaches. Riptide and high surf alerts are posted from Florida to Maine. Millions warned to stay out of the water. CBS's Dave Malkoff is in Paget Parish, Bermuda, and leads us off tonight. Dave, good evening.
Good evening, Adriana. Wow, what a wild night we had as this hurricane made direct landfall on the island. It was really hard for us to sleep through it, but our night was nothing compared to the night of these fishermen in the worst part of the storm.
The crew of the Pescador lost an engine, but saved themselves, chaining their boat to a pair of cruise ship anchors in the harbor, all during Hurricane Ernesto's worst winds.
100-mile-an-hour gusts, I'm guessing. Still holding strong.
The storm knocked out power to 70% of Bermuda and stripped trees of their branches, but many vacationers had already left the tiny and wealthy island. And if you look at that piece of coral down there, you can see how those 30-foot waves are just crashing on that. There used to be a beach here. When Ernesto skirted Puerto Rico earlier this week, it was a tropical storm that knocked out power to about 700,000 customers.
Oh my God!
Even hundreds of miles offshore, Ernesto's danger came to the U.S. East Coast. Powerful surf pulled this house into the Atlantic on North Carolina's Outer Banks. From Florida to Maine, the National Weather Service has issued rip current alerts to over 1 million people. Nearly 10 million people are under a high surf advisory. And in New York City, beachgoers are not allowed to get into the water, but many still showed up.
They closed the water, but we can sit on the beach.
The head of the Bermudian government had to actually go on emergency radio to scold people who were out there, Adriana, swimming in the eye of the storm, ignoring the danger in all of that. These things are crank powered, but we are told that crews are out there trying to put the lights back on for people all over Bermuda.
Swimming in the eye of the storm. Unbelievable. Dave Malkoff, thank you. Let's go now to meteorologist Vanessa Murdoch for more on Ernesto and those rip current threats. Vanessa?
Adriana, Ernesto continues to churn up the seas, making swimming especially dangerous along the eastern seaboard. And that high risk of rip currents persists tomorrow from Florida all the way up to Maine. In addition, wave heights will be amplified. As the center of the storm is so far away from us, the storm does push those waves right to the shoreline. Wave heights will be crashing at 4 to 8 feet along the eastern coast tomorrow. Now the latest with Ernesto. It's a Category 1 hurricane. Winds are sustained at 70 25 miles per hour, and the storm is moving slowly away from Bermuda. Hence, tonight, there will still be gusty winds and potentially flash flooding there as the storm moves slowly away, but it will pick up forward pace, maintain Category 1 status through Monday as it makes its way off the coast of Newfoundland. In the meantime, locally here at home, we're looking at those rough seas, but for the interior of the country, excessive heat warnings, high heat advisories in play. It will feel as hot as 111 for both Little Rock and New Orleans as we make our way through Sunday. Adriana, back to you.
Vanessa Murdoch, thank you. To the campaign trail now, with all eyes on Pennsylvania this weekend. Donald Trump rallied in Wilkes-Barre today, and Kamala Harris makes 3 stops in the state tomorrow. CBS's Natalie Brand is tracking it all. Natalie, good evening.
Good evening to you, Adriana. Both candidates are targeting Pennsylvania and traveling to this key battleground this weekend. In the past 2 presidential elections, the state was decided by fewer than 100,000 votes.
Revving up supporters in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, former President Donald Trump has focused his latest lines of attacks against his rival on the economy.
Is anything less expensive under Kamala Harris or crooked Joe? No, it's been devastating. In her speech yesterday, Kamala went full communist.
It comes as Vice President Kamala Harris has unveiled her first round of economic policy proposals.
As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class.
She rallied Friday in North Carolina, one of the battlegrounds where new polling shows the presidential race has tightened since Harris entered it nearly a month ago. Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, campaigning Saturday in Nebraska, where he was born, touted the campaign's new plans.
Lowering the cost of rent and the opportunity to own your own home. Continuing to cut the cost of prescription drugs that we all depend on.
High prices are top of mind.
Everything has definitely went up. Everything.
Prices are terrible, and our kids are going to suffer.
Immigration also a top issue for this couple at Trump's rally on Saturday.
Safety of our country. The borders aren't secure.
Now, new numbers released by Customs and Border Protection show illegal crossings at the southern border in July dropped more than 30% from June, now at their lowest level in nearly 4 years. This follows President Biden enacting asylum restrictions in June after record crossings last year. Adriana?
Natalie Brand, thank you. Our coverage of the Democratic National Convention begins on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern on CBS News 24/7 and right here on CBS at 10 p.m. Eastern. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is headed to Israel this weekend, seeking a diplomatic breakthrough for a ceasefire deal after 10 months of war. Today, more bloodshed. At least 18 people, all from the same family, were killed by an Israeli airstrike on the territory. CBS's Ramy Inocencio is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Adriana, good evening. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's return here to Israel could be seen as a positive sign that negotiators are getting close to that ceasefire deal. His mission is to finalize a bridging proposal, basically suggestions to find common ground in the final gaps of the demands of both Israel and Hamas. President Biden said, quote, "We are closer than we've ever been," but a Hamas official hours ago pushed back on that positivity, saying that they were deceptive claims. Now, all that said, a Qatari official tells CBS News that Hamas is still fully engaged in talks. And Adriana, mediators say that they will reconvene in Cairo before the end of next week with the goal of finally reaching that deal.
Ramy Inocencio, thank you so much. Today, Ukraine destroyed a strategically important bridge in Russia. It happened in Russia's Kursk region as Ukraine presses ahead with its cross-border military offensive. CBS's Ian Lee is in Kyiv.
Good evening, Adriana. Ukraine's top general describes the fighting in the Kursk region as going to plan as his troops push deeper into Russia.
Smiles return to the faces of Ukrainian soldiers. For them, they're once again moving in the right direction. This soldier says it's been tough, but everything will be awesome. After months on the defensive, Ukrainian forces smashed across the Russian border, taking more than 400 square miles of territory, according to Kyiv, whose troops pour into the Kursk region, capturing more Russian soldiers by the day. The attack shocked the Kremlin and humiliated President Vladimir Putin. Moscow has been slow to react, but after more than 2 years, the sheer weight of Russia's military machine has ground down Ukrainian defenses in the east of the country. This soldier, fresh from the fighting in Kursk, says the advance is getting more difficult. Yesterday, Ukraine released a video of a strike on a key bridge, a supply line for Russian reinforcements. The Kremlin accused Ukraine of using a highly accurate American-made rocket. President Volodymyr Zelensky updated the nation. The operation, he says, is about destroying the logistics of the Russian army and draining their reserves, adding, "We must inflict maximum damage on all Russian positions, and we're doing that." Kyiv's incursion also brought the war into the homes of many Russians along the border. Moscow says it's evacuated more than 120,000 people.
This turnaround for Ukraine is a badly needed boost to morale, Adriana. But Russia keeps taking ground in other parts of Ukraine. And tonight, Kyiv is telling residents in the strategic eastern town of Pokrovsk to get out while they still have the chance.
Ian Lee, thank you so much. Today, CBS News has learned that ousted Congressman George Santos is expected to plead guilty to multiple felony counts. Santos is charged with 23 counts, including wire fraud, money laundering, and theft of public funds. We reached out to Santos and his attorney, but they did not respond. New rules took effect today impacting anyone buying or selling a home. The change settles a massive antitrust lawsuit that alleged home sellers were forced to pay artificially inflated commissions to agents. CBS's Elise Preston is in Inglewood, California with more. Elise?
Adriana, good evening to you. This is the first day of new rules which change real estate deals nationwide. Home buyers, sellers, and agents will all feel the impact, but in different ways. The property was built in 1983 and has vaulted ceilings.
Danielle Edney is the realtor for this house in Inglewood, California. While she waits for a buyer, beginning today, the way she and agents across the country get paid is changing.
Any commission for a buyer has to be done up front while you are submitting an offer.
This is cute. Would-be buyers, as part of a $418 million realtor antitrust settlement, will have to sign a payment contract before an agent even shows them a home.
It is supposed to be better for the buyer for transparency's sake. And that's fine. We want to be transparent.
Home sellers no longer have to offer compensation to the buyer's agent. Typically, the seller has paid the commission that is usually split between the listing and buyer's agents. Now, the home buyer could have to cover that cost.
The realtor will be able to talk about the services that they will provide, and the consumer can negotiate how much they are willing to pay for the services that are being provided.
These commissions can add thousands of dollars for buyers hoping to find something affordable. Redfin says nearly 1 in 10 homes nationwide is valued at least $1 million.
Find a really good realtor who can kind of help you through all the steps of the process.
Thank you. Now, this has been a somewhat sluggish summer when it comes to home sales, but buyers and sellers may jump back in next month when the Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates. Adriana?
Elise Preston, thanks so much. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, how new school bus technology is putting energy back into the grid. Plus, food delivery. It's not Uber Eats or DoorDash, but this capsule is delivering food in space. This back-to-school season, students in Oakland, California will be the first in the nation to ride in school buses designed to help them learn and protect the environment. Here's CBS's Juliette Goodrich.
The big yellow school bus. 26 million kids in the U.S. take him to school every year, including when he was younger, Sam Shankman.
Although he is bold and brave and has a big personality, we worry about him.
His parents worry because Sam is developmentally disabled. Like so many kids with special needs, Sam has trouble communicating. But then, so too did his school bus.
We never knew when he reached his destination if there were any problems, and it was always a constant worry.
Another worry, the exhaust. In the U.S., 500,000 school buses run on diesel fuel, producing more than 5 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions every year. The pollution from diesel can cause heart and lung problems.
All children are susceptible to the effects of air pollution, but special needs kids, particularly premature infants, children with chronic lung diseases, really feel those effects more severely.
Now, instead of dirty, noisy buses, a breath of fresh air.
I think this is going to really change the entire way student transportation is done across the nation.
The Oakland Unified School District is the first in the nation to deploy an all-electric school bus fleet.
It's amazing for us. You know, we're not breathing the fumes.
74 buses entrusted with transporting all the district's special needs students.
We've even chosen the lights to be special so that way they're not as harsh to the kids.
For the district's Kim Rainey, it's about ensuring these kids get a fair chance at learning.
Everything about this is a game changer for these special ed kids and for our students.
The district partnered with Zoom, an electric bus startup in Silicon Valley. An integrated platform connects the parents, bus drivers, and school. When a child gets on or off the bus, a notification is immediately sent to all the parties. Parents can see the route, who the driver is, and where the bus is.
Being such a peace of mind to everybody involved, knowing that your child is safe and traveling safely.
The Zoom buses are also equipped with a special technology that allows them to both charge and give power back to the grid. The fleet can supply hours of electricity to power up to 400 homes.
Perfect.
As for Sam, he has the right idea. Sam already uses an EV mobility vehicle to get around home. His mom is thrilled with the new bus fleet.
A solution like this is just wonderful.
Juliette Goodrich, CBS News, Oakland, California.
Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, a massive water main break sends water rushing through city streets. We'll tell you where. A vital delivery today in space. This is the stunning view as an unmanned Russian spacecraft approached and docked with the International Space Station. On board, 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the crew of the orbiting station. The cargo ship will stay docked and eventually be loaded with trash to return to Earth. The city of Montreal is cleaning up today after a massive break in an underground water main. It looked like an explosion of water. It came from a burst pipe 7 feet in diameter. The water rushed into downtown streets and poured into homes and businesses. Thousands of houses remain under a boil water advisory. And a famous hat is now in private hands. One of the iconic felt fedoras worn by Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones franchise was sold at auction this week for $630,000. This specific one came from 1984's Temple of Doom, the second film in the franchise. Next on the CBS Weekend News, the DIY project that captivated the internet with its hardware and heart. We end tonight in Chicago, where a father-daughter duo's home renovation went viral on TikTok. In tonight's Weekend Journal, CBS's Noel Brennan reports on how it became a project of love and loss.
Hi, come on in.
A house with good bones is all she wanted. But Bridget McGang has much more.
I love the design. I never thought I would have a kitchen that had like cabinets to the ceiling with crown molding.
Bridget bought the old Tudor-style house in Chicago last year. All that's left to fix up is the unfinished attic.
My dad agreed to help me remodel it, and so we started remodeling it on my days off of work.
Bill McGang had 44 years of experience as an electrician.
Yeah, I learned so much from him.
He also had a daughter eager to learn.
He taught me how to use a drill, a saw, measure, cut, and level.
The father-daughter renovation team found an audience on TikTok.
Another trip to Home Depot, another couple $100 worth of wood.
Sometimes we had to go to Home Depot like 3 or 4 times in a day.
Hey, welcome back to the Attic Conversion Part 8.
Bridget's posts started gaining traction.
We want a 4.5-inch hole.
Her followers already know what happened next.
6 months into my home renovation, my worst nightmare became my reality.
March 4th, 2024, he was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a terminal brain cancer. Yeah.
Despite the best efforts of his medical team and all of the might he had, my dad passed from glioblastoma on June 23rd, 2024.
This old fixer-upper now feels like a gift.
You can be sad and you can still do something that you love and do something that reminds you of your loved one.
Hey, welcome back to the attic conversion.
It was never a question if I was going to finish the attic or not.
He always taught us that if he weren't here tomorrow, that he would want us to keep living our lives.
Bridget's latest TikTok about her dad has more than 18.5 million views.
I know he'd be really proud, yeah.
This house has good bones and plenty of heart.
I don't think I'll ever own a home that holds this much sentimental value to me.
Noel Brennan, CBS News, Chicago.
That house has so much heart. That is the CBS Weekend News for this Saturday. First thing tomorrow is CBS Sunday Morning. Then it is Face the Nation. Margaret Brennan's guests include Congressman Mike Turner, Senator Mark Kelly, and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. I'm Adriana Diaz in Washington. Thanks for watching. Good night.